Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Same people as usual.
I think we have topics this time.
If we don't have topics, you can listen to us ramble on shit for hours.
Topics?
Even if we do have topics, you can hear us ramble for hours.
Yeah, well,
Sure.
okay, but recently Nintendo had a meeting, whatever it was, about going mobile and talk about a new console, codenamed the NX or whatever. From what I hear, it's basically going to be a mix between a handheld and a home console, and what they're gonna do is that they're gonna put all their developers and whatnot onto that specific console. So after the 3DS and whatnot, Nintendo aren't gonna do like handhelds anymore. So it's gonna be a home console mixed with a handheld, which is something I'm interested to see like how they handle it. But I feel it would benefit them a lot in the long run, because you have all the development studios working on one console, which makes it so game gaps will be few and far in between, which is a good thing. So I feel if they like pulled this thing off right, it could very well be one of the best consoles we've had in a while. But how do you guys feel about this?
Well,
It's
we don't.
ambitious, I'll say
but
that much.
I honestly don't think we know enough about it for me to really form an opinion, other than it's a thing. I feel like I need to probably look into it a bit more, or wait for Nintendo to go a bit more in depth about it before I can say whether or not I think it's a good idea or a bad idea. As it stands, it's a thing that exists or is going to exist.
I do like the idea of it though. I think it's a really good idea to have a home console and a handheld in one, so they don't have to split their like teams in half, and it makes games come out more frequently, which was a problem with the Wii U's launch.
Well, that's the problem with every console's launch. It's
Yeah.
always a drought within like the first year or so.
Which is why, I guess remember when systems used to launch with really good games? I think we should start doing that stuff again. Just because you want people to buy a product, and if your launch game is average at best, that's not going to be enough to really hold people over.
Because the thing is, with like the NES and Super Nintendo, launch games were of higher quality on there, because while they didn't know all of the the potential of a system, there still comparatively wasn't a whole lot to do. So as consoles have gotten more complex, it's harder to get a lot out of a system at its very beginning when you don't really know how it works.
Didn't
Yeah.
the PS2 launch with 100 games?
PS2 had a big launch, I think, yeah.
Because I remember they had a 100 game lineup for the pack. Something like that.
Maybe. I mean, it's certainly possible. PS2 has one of the best game libraries available, so I don't doubt it started off strongly as well.
Yeah, the PS2 is like, yeah, the PS2 was a beast that generation.
The PS2 was so good and went on for so long. It only got discontinued in like January of last year.
No, that was when the last game got released. It got
No,
this.
I mean, I think they were still technically producing new systems, or no, yeah. I remember when they announced that PS2s were being made, but yeah, the last game was like last year. Meanwhile, we looked at the Wii, and that officially stopped production, I think, in 2013.
Yes, yeah.
I think because the Wii U just a little bit more momentum in 2013. Not a lot, but a little bit with Pikmin 3 and Super Mario 3D World. And last year gave it a pretty good boost with Mario Kart 8 and Smash.
The Wii U really hit its stride last year, and we're getting more awesome stuff this year too. So,
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons why I think right now it's the better choice to buy out of the PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U.
PS4 has nothing.
Well, the PS4 has a couple of games,
A
but
couple, but nothing really noteworthy.
The thing,
there are most of the games worth buying on the PS4 are ported on other consoles. A lot of the really interesting stuff that's coming out for the PS4 comes out like in the second half of the year, and the titles that look really interesting, we don't know when they're coming out. Like within this year, there are only 2 games that I'm really excited for on the PS4. That's Arkham Knight and No Man's Sky.
and Kingdom Hearts 3 is not going to come out until like 2017 or something. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
we've got a while for KH3.
Knowing Square Enix, they'd probably delay it to hell. Knowing them.
Actually, Final Fantasy 15 has come out on PS4, isn't it?
I think so.
Then I'm somewhat interested in that as well.
From what I've seen, the PS4 games seem to be like they have a lot of hype surrounding them, but they turn out to be disappointments in the long run. Like,
The Order
Yeah.
1886.
yeah,
That
things
seems
like
to be
that.
the. That seems to be, I guess,
That's
that
where
seems to be.
it ends.
That seems to be a trend with games now. A lot of hype, and they look really cool when they're showing off, but when they come out, they suck.
Eesh.
It still looks pretty. At least this one, to its credit, still looked as pretty as when it was shown off.
Well, yeah, but
That's
who gives
not-
a shit?
Graphics don't mean anything to me if the gameplay's crap.
Yeah.
It
Well,
just
They're
looks
just
very
like
bare
they're just like
bones.
it's basically like finding the one piece of gold in a river of rocks.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I found literally nothing halfway decent about this aside from like this one thing that was kind of cool.
Well, I feel this generation is going kind of slow in terms of like games coming out.
It is
Yeah,
very slow.
I feel like once the PS4 and Xbox One really start going and we get consistently good games, we'll get really good games. But right
Hopefully.
now the stuff that looked really interesting that has come out was terrible. Aside from like Alien Isolation, which everybody thought was gonna suck, and then it turned out to be awesome.
Yeah, my friend hated Colonial Marines, so
Everybody hated Colonial Marines. It was a terrible game.
I've heard. It's good to hear that the Alien Isolation was actually good though. So
Yeah, the thing about Isolation is that they got like what an Alien game should be: horror.
Not action. Well,
Yeah.
Aliens, I think, is a good sequel, but I
Well, yeah,
prefer the
Aliens.
horror.
Aliens is a good sequel, but it's way more actiony than the first.
It's like you watch Alien and Aliens. They're completely different movies.
Yeah, they're both great, but great in their own ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this NX thing, I think it's very ambitious to stop making handhelds altogether and have one console be both. We just need to see how it's going to be integrated, because
Yeah.
part of me says this could go really well, and the other part says this could be an absolute disaster.
It really
But-
depends on how they go about it.
Exactly.
Like I'm just
Because I need to
curious.
see how they do it, because I may have ideas, just none of them are good, so I just have to wait and see how it turns.
Maybe they could have a controller like the gamepad where you could use that controller to go out and play it like anywhere you go, and maybe
This time it won't be as bulky as the gamepad was.
and maybe you could have like another controller, the Pro controller, where that's like for if you want to play at home. So I'm just
suppose
curious
that's
of how it's gonna function properly.
I still just feel like I have to wait for more
Yeah.
information before I really decide on anything.
Yeah, I do think it's a good idea to put both handheld and console teams onto just this one console, because again, it makes it so like game gaps aren't as frequent. which they've been getting better with that with the Wii U recently. So the fact that they're bringing both teams onto one console could be a really good thing. Because we would see like Mario and Luigi in like HD quality and whatnot, and just that would be interesting to see, like handhelds like that, like onto a home console.
I guess that could be pretty cool to see. Again, we just have to wait to see how it's implemented. Because if it's implemented like shit, then that'll just kill the entire point of the system.
I hope it doesn't become something like that. Like, I would hate for it to be another Virtual Boy kind of thing.
I think Nintendo learned enough from the Virtual Boy. I feel like they I'm pretty sure with most things they unveil now, they've probably had it in development for years before they decide to show it to us.
Yeah, because the thing with like console generations, companies usually go to work on the next console like right when
immediately.
Yeah, pretty much, because they take a while to build.
And then we ran out of things to say.
To make a new one been released. We
haven't
have already finished development on the last one, which started when the technology was already there before.
You had a lot of things to say about the NX when we were in calls, Joe. So you wanna talk a little bit about how you feel about it?
I think the NX can work, but I don't want it to be released as soon as they expect it to be. I mean, it's only been released for 2 years now, and I only just got mine, because I tend to wait maybe 1 or 2 years before I get a console, so I know it's good. And that's why I definitely haven't bought an Xbox One or PS4. But at this rate, it seems like the Xbox One and PS4 are going to live longer than the Wii U.
Well, that's only because the Wii U's been out only because the Wii U came out sooner.
I wouldn't think that, to be honest, because companies don't really want this generation to go on as long as the last one. So
I have no idea. Is it hard to program for them? Because the PS2 was hard to program at the time. And people are still trying to crack the system to make emulators.
Maybe it has something to do with that. I don't keep up to date with a lot of that kind of thing. A lot of those kind of things, but
I mean, the Xbox 360's anti-piracy firmware was actually on the discs, not just in the console.
Well, I think
Like a disc.
I feel this generation is gonna end around mid-2018 or so.
A very disappointing one, I might say. It just depends on what happens next.
Yeah, because this generation felt really it has been feeling really short, but also really slow, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's not a lot from like the other consoles.
It's because they're still fairly new. Plus, with
Yeah.
a lot of Sony and Microsoft rely a lot on third-party developers to create titles. Nintendo does a lot of their stuff, at least they have when it comes to the Wii U, and because a lot of their games have probably been in development for a few years, they're ready to go sooner than what the other companies have.
I think didn't the other companies have to release their consoles early because the Wii U was releasing?
I don't know, actually.
So I think I remember hearing about that.
And actually, as you look at it, the Wii U has a lot of the same hardware components and firmware components as the original Wii.
And yet it's quite a better console.
It's a much better console, yes, but it uses the same components for the most part. It's even compatible with the last console's cables.
I suppose.
Just believe me, that is all I need to say.
I see.
It's a,
Which includes
it's miles more powerful though.
yeah, it's miles more powerful, but that being said, it still uses the same power brick as the Wii. So, actually, I think the power brick's bigger this time around. But you can
Okay,
plug the same thing into.
I've got both the Wii and Wii U power bricks right here, so I can check.
Okay.
Let's see which one is which, because I got all kinds of cables tangled up and shit.
The gray one.
The Wii U one, the Wii U's power brick is slightly bigger, yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. And I forgot how freaky these Sonic Adventure animations were.
I told you they have jello mouths.
Yeah.
And yet still better lip syncing than some games I've seen just within the last couple of years.
That's kind of sad. Yeah.
Alright, so something that just came out a few days ago, or maybe it was a week ago, Mario Party 10 just came out.
Oh yeah.
Alright, that's a thing. I haven't played it, and
yet.
I really don't care. I haven't played Mario Party since 6, and
I loved 6.
I haven't played, the only Mario Party games I've played were 2 and 3. And this one I've seen, because I haven't bought Mario Party 10 myself, but I've actually looked at the game. I personally think it's a big disappointment regarding the card system that Mario Party 9 introduced, which, for the record, that in and of itself could have been a separate game mode.
Yeah.
But instead they force you to be in that card, and I don't like that.
Well,
Oh yeah, I played 8, and 8 fucking sucked.
I've played it as well.
It sucked.
It's not the worst in the series, but it really is lackluster. Is it? Every minigame feels the exact same. Just shake the Wii remote and something happens.
well, wasn't 8 the first one on the Wii, and so it was
Yeah.
kind of mandatory to shovel in motion controls.
And I
Metroid
think
Prime.
Mario Party 9 might be worse, because I've seen a few of the mini games in that game, and they fucking blow.
Yeah, I enjoyed 9 for what it was worth. Like for one game, the car could have been fine, but it really didn't need to return.
Or it could have just been a separate game mode, like Bowser Party.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Mario Party 10 is that the Amiibo Party could have been like a classic Mario Party mode, but it's just a huge slap in the face because it's really just a narrow pathway, and that's just why.
Just disappoints me.
It might have been to try and balance amiibos due to being overpowered in everything so far.
I wouldn't really call that overpowered, but I just don't like the idea of like amiibos unlocking a full-on mode. If it's something like Smash, I could care less, but a full-on mode, really?
Yeah. I will say that Bowser Party is actually really interesting, because for me, the Bowser player has to be someone who has a vendetta against one of the players. So it's like the players versus Bowser, and knowing Bowser can be really easy to win.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, Bowser Party looks like a lot of fun if you're playing as Bowser.
Or if
Like-
you just want to have a nice commentary, just to fuck around and shit, don't care about winning.
Well, yeah, I guess. But
Because it's still possible for the other players to win, it's just a hell of a lot harder.
yeah, because Bowser has always rolls 4 dice,
And you can re-roll if you wanted
Yeah.
to.
I
I
think
feel like
he-
the entire point of Bowser Party is to fuck over the other players, which
Yeah.
at least emulates Bowser's appearances in Mario Party fairly well.
Yeah. Well, when it could have been a lot better balanced, I feel, because when
Well, I think it's intentionally designed to be unbalanced.
Yeah.
Bowser Party favors Bowser more than the others.
Okay.
I think
I
that's-
still
Hey,
think
Tails just-
it's hilarious, don't get me wrong.
Tails
Yeah.
just phased through Sonic. What the hell?
Because
That
I think
happens.
Bowser Party is like one of the most hilarious things I've seen in a game in quite a long time. just because of how ridiculous it seems.
Yeah.
But as for the game itself, I think just like every other Mario Party game, I can enjoy a Mario Party game with friends because I'm not one to really care about winning. But I feel like the mini games are kind of lackluster, and if the mini games are lackluster, it just starts to feel a little bit less fun and just more boring.
Yeah. The game in general just looks kind of meh, to be honest. Like,
I mean, it looks better than 8 because I fucking hated Mario Party 8.
I think the main problem is that I think a different company is making the games now, so
Yeah, it was just to be Hudson.
yeah.
But I only because the only Mario Party games I've experienced.
Hudson developed most of the Mario Party games, and I think they even worked on Sonic Shuffle. But then they got absorbed into another company that I can't remember right now.
What was the first Mario Party game not to be made by Hudson?
I think 9, but don't quote me on that.
I'll check.
Because I only played 2, 3, and 8.
I've played 6, 8, 9, DS, and Island Tour.
I fucking loved 2 and 3, not so much 8, obviously.
Yeah.
I still think 2 has the best music of any Mario Party game, if you ask me.
Yeah, 9 was the first. 9 was the first one not to be developed by Hudson Soft.
Ah, okay.
Who developed it?
Mario Party 9 was developed by ND Cube.
Okay.
Alright.
They've pretty much ND Cube is responsible for F-Zero Maximum Velocity, Wii Party, and then all the Mario Party games past 9.
I heard
including
Wii Party was
Island Tour.
just like Mario Party, but with Mii's.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Is it alright for what it was worth?
From what
I
I've
don't
played,
know.
it's decent. I own Wii Party U, and I've only played a little bit of it, but it's okay for like
A little
Just-
while.
yeah. 'Cause it gets boring pretty quickly, but it's a decent game, I guess.
If you want to go with what critics have to say, critics around the world all came together to declare that Wii Party was okay.
Alright, so has anyone here played every Mario Party game?
Nope.
Nope.
But I will.
Because
I will.
Harry, you played 6, 7. You said 7, right?
No, I've played 6, 8, DS, Island Tour, and 9.
What do you think of Island Tour?
It's bad. It is really bad.
Island Tour is great if only for the choicest voice and the insanity that comes from Vine Sauce playing it.
But what's wrong with Island Tour? Because I've heard nothing about it.
Basically,
From what I've heard, its big issues are you can only do local multiplayer. Like
Well,
there's no
that's-
online.
that wasn't really my issue with it.
That doesn't sound that big of a problem.
Well, the thing
That's
with
mainly what I've heard is that it's especially if you're playing something like the choicest voice and you want to play like in a park or something, you're sitting with one friend in a park doing impressions of Toad and Princess Peach.
Well, the problem with the game is that even though you're all separated, it still plays like you're in a car because you can only go in one linear pathway, and minigames are like super rare in that game for some reason.
Is it?
Yeah, like Mario Party 9, 10, and all those, you find them on like boards and stuff. In Island Tour, basically, I think you have to do 4 turns or so, and then you get a minigame, which is really dumb, in my opinion. And basically, it plays like Mario Party 9 in the sense that you go through a pathway, you don't have to collect mini stars or coins or anything like that, you just have to get to the end first, and that's it. I don't think that's a good way of designing a Mario Party game, because
That's how I feel about Mario Party 9. Because I don't know about you, but I fucking hate that cart.
yeah. Well, at least in Mario Party 9 and even 10, there's like stuff going on.
Well,
in
yeah.
Island
It's a
Tour,
different kind of Mario Party game.
yeah. Like in Island Tour, there's one level that's literally like 13 spaces long or something.
13?
A lot of the boards are like super short. You can go through them really quickly.
Wow, that's pitiful. Let's see. I do have some positives about 10, like, I do like the fact that Donkey Kong is a playable character again.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't been playable since 5, I believe.
Everybody was really clamoring for Donkey Kong in Mario Party, I guess.
And then they brought Rosalina in.
Though I do like the idea that...
Selena at least makes sense as compared to other characters.
Well,
Look, at least
Rosalina's
they're not
gay
putting.
and everything.
At least they're not putting fucking Danica Patrick. in their games.
I don't even know who that is.
She's a NASCAR racer, and she appeared in Sonic and All-Star Racer. Sonic and All-Star Racing Transformed. She was
Yeah.
really
Oh,
fucking
I know
out
what you're
of
talking
place.
about.
And just before this podcast, I did a online matches video for that. So,
Just a quick question. Do racing games even have tiers? Like, we know fighting games have tier lists. What about racing games?
I don't...
Not to my knowledge, and I'm very happy that they don't, because tiers are bullshit anyway.
Yeah. 'Cause
Well,
I
I know. I think Smash 4 is like the best example of a tier list being bullshit.
Yeah.
Because there are characters that are said to be garbage, like Meta Knight, but you can still kick ass with them.
Yeah.
Like the tier, as far as I'm concerned, tier lists exist so that people who play fighting games all the fucking time can feel better than other people.
Yeah.
I think it also severely limits tournaments, because in tournaments all you see, because Melee tournaments you mainly see like Fox, Falco, Marth.
Yeah.
You don't even see like anyone else. I mean, you'll get the occasional Yoshi or Luigi player, but you barely see anyone else, which just makes the tournament boring as hell to watch.
I felt like I was the only Yoshi player for Brawl.
Really?
Yeah, because I never saw anyone else play as him.
I feel like I'm the only Mega Man player for Smash 4, but I've ran into a few Mega Mans online on For Glory.
Well, because on For Glory, most of the people on there are the people using tiers.
Yeah, well...
I've actually had, I think the easiest character for me to fight is Shulk, because I've ran into some really shitty Shulks.
I've gone pretty decent.
Shulk is just bad, and I can tell you exactly why. Harry knows.
No, I actually kind of like Shulk. I've gotten used to his moveset. It's
I
actually...
didn't find Shulk to be all that bad. I was pretty terrible as Shulk, though.
I'm terrible with Shulk, because I don't mind Shulk, it's just I suck with him.
I think the main thing you have to get used to is the whole Monado abilities.
Yeah. My brother plays Shulk, and he knows his shit with the Monado arts.
Yeah. It's
Unlike
just...
the other people I fought online who either don't use their Monado arts at all, or just spam backslash and air slash all the time.
Speaking of people spamming attacks, I ran into this one guy that kept on using the same moves as Little Mac, or Ifa.
Arrows.
Or Ifa with Ike, and it just got really annoying.
Arrows. I fucking hate Link's arrows a lot. They're fast, they can break your shield quickly, they do rapid damage, and they go across the whole screen.
I don't really use Link's arrows.
I'm not the biggest fan of Link. I mean, he's great in this game, I just never really liked
I
playing
like Toon Link, but I've never been a fan of Link.
I tell you, I very rarely go out of like my comfort zone with Smash characters. I tend to stick with with Samus, Ness, and Zero Suit Samus. Occasionally I'll go to others, but for the most part it's just those.
Ness has absurdly good throws in this game.
Ness has been significantly buffed.
Yeah, his throws are really good.
Yeah. I feel his yo-yo smashes have been buffed as well. Like, I feel in Brawl and Melee they really didn't do a lot.
They did shit.
Yeah.
At least Ganondorf is a bit more playable than he was in Brawl, because I tried using him in Brawl. He's goddamn unusable in that game.
He was the worst
Well,
character.
Ganondorf, I always find that Ganondorf works fairly well because he's supposed to be a really big hitter, and if you make him really, really fast, that makes him overpowered as all hell.
That's
If somebody
true.
hits hard, it balances it out to make them slow as well.
Well, that's
They
not
s-
my problem.
They sped Ganondorf up a bit in Smash 4 because he was like a fucking snail in Brawl. That was his big
Yeah.
problem, is that he was too damn slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I never expected Ganondorf to be fast. He would be like top tier at that point if that happened.
I can't get over his running
knowing
animation.
tier logic, they'd be like, oh well, he hits hard, so he's like, he's not as fast as like Captain Falcon or Sonic. So
He's
like,
actually, according to, alright, I'll bring up the Smash 4 tier list now. Because I tend to check it a lot just because, why not? See how the tournament scene is today.
Well, I can't get over Ganondorf's running animation in Brawl and Smash 4 because it looks like that he has a pole stuck up his rear end.
Alright, so out of 48
He
characters,
does.
Ganondorf is 42 out of 48.
Huh.
it's like with
He's-
one being the highest.
What?
Is that with like one being the highest, or
Yeah, Rosalina is number one.
because of course?
No, because, yeah.
Ugh, the thing with Rosalina is that a lot of her attacks aren't risky to use, so...
They are,
The
no.
thing with
Rosalina can take down
Rosalina,
anyone.
the thing with Rosalina is that Rosalina doesn't matter. It's the Luma that matters.
Yeah. Well,
Resilient little bastard, too.
I feel losing Luma isn't as significant as losing Nana with the Ice Climbers.
Because Luma can come back.
Yeah, that and I feel Rosalina is stronger than Popo by himself.
No, here's the thing. If the Luma didn't come back, Rosalina would probably be lower tier, or they'd be a lot harder to use her.
Yeah.
Because, like, unlike Popo, I don't think Rosalina is severely crippled without the Luma. I mean, she's
Yeah.
not as good without it, but she's not severely crippled either.
Yeah, that's what I was getting
Like,
at.
with Popo, if Nana's out, he is severely crippled.
Yeah, and his recovery becomes awful.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, oh, I can barely, like, reach, like, an inch.
Yeah. Better than Little Mac.
I'm still sad about the Ice Climbers being cut, though, because they've been a veteran since Melee, so it was kind
Well,
of hard.
there's a reason why, because at least they actually have a reason for not being in there instead of Sakurai just going, meh, I don't want them. Like,
Well, it was two things.
It was something to do with the 3DS's hardware. They couldn't handle
yeah.
having the Ice Climbers, so they cut them from both versions just to
That-
make it a little bit more balanced.
That and Sakurai said that Ice Climbers aren't really known in today's age. Like, they haven't had a new game since, like, the
Have you
original.
seen
so.
the tourney players? They know who the Ice Climbers are.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be
But,
hard
like-
to make an Ice Climbers game.
But like
I-
the general, I think the inclusion of most Smash characters is like general populace and who knows of them.
Yeah, well,
Or-
The only reason why
or,
Captain
like-
Falcon is known is because of Smash.
yeah, 'cause a lot of people wouldn't know who,
Still
like,
popular.
who what Ness came from, or like Marth and all those characters, if it wasn't for Smash. So
Well, I feel like in this day and age, though, probably I think if Ness had never been in Smash aside from 4, I feel like in this day and age, people would still know who he is. Because you've got people who have never played Earthbound that at least know about it.
because
Whereas you
remember-
go back to 1995 and like 1998, 1999 when Smash came out. Nobody knew who the fuck Ness was.
yeah, but I think it's Takamaru, something like that. The Ninja Assist Trophy. Does that ring a bell?
No.
Assist trophies are really the spotlight for really obscure characters.
Well,
Hey, remember when Little Mac was an assist trophy? Now he's a playable character.
yeah, well,
yeah, because everybody is.
Man was a assist trophy. Oh wait.
Well, one of the assist trophies in Smash 4 was originally going to be a character, but Sakurai basically went like, oh, that character isn't really familiar with like the general audience, so let's just cut him.
Wait, who was this supposed to be?
Like I said, I can't remember the name exactly, but it's one that throws ninja stars, I believe. That would have been interesting.
Oh yeah, that one. I know who he is. He's that one. I've not talking.
Yeah.
Camera, please.
And I also tend to think because remember when Little Mac was thought to be a godlike character?
Oh yeah, he really
And then
They
is.
now-
realized his recovery was shit.
I think he got nerfed actually. Like, I think in a Smash 3DS update he got nerfed because his side
he
B,
got severely nerfed.
his
A couple of
side B is a
characters
lot
that are-
worse now.
Most of the updates in Smash 3DS were there for balance, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to have Little Mac with that sense of power, but he's really easy to exploit. Like, if you know that he's bad in the air, then it really isn't that hard to win.
It's like Sonic. If you're predictable with him, you lose.
Yeah, which is why I've been trying to get better with Sonic and try to trick people with spin dashes. And
Yeah, I've been
whatnot.
trying to do that too.
It's easier said than done though, because people can easily just screw you over.
It's like Kirby.
I've no
Incredibly
idea.
easy to break. It can be a potential threat if you know how to use them.
What are you saying, Joey?
Unless, of course, you have no idea how to play as Sonic, then everything you do is completely unpredictable, just completely random, and you're just mashing buttons.
Well, if you don't know how to play as Sonic, then I don't know why you'd want to play as him in full glory.
Maybe you hit random. You were feeling lucky, punk.
Yeah. I think I did that once. If I just don't know who to be, or I just want to be random, I just pick random.
Unless I'm in just a random match with people I know, I never pick random because there are way too many characters in Smash that I do not know how to play.
I know how most of them play, but there's a lot you have to learn in Smash 4. Like, possibly not as much as Melee, in the sense that you don't have to worry about learning how to do wave dashing.
Wave dashing.
Yeah,
and
all that crazy crap, but there's still exploits you can do in Smash 4, but it's just not as crazy as that. Which I think is a good thing, because Smash 4 is a good balance between pleasing the casual side and the competitive side.
That's why we have for fun and for glory.
Yeah. Though how often do you guys play for fun?
Never. I rarely.
Because I recently played for fun, and you know when you play a normal Smash battle with like friends and whatnot, you get gold.
Yeah.
When I played it, it said reward down there, but there was no gold, so I don't know why that was.
Maybe you
even
didn't
there.
earn anything.
You lost. You don't earn anything.
Well, even when I won, it didn't do anything.
I don't even think I've actually played it. I don't think I've played Smash Online outside of matches with people that I know.
There are some really good players out there. Like this one Zero Suit Samus player really kicked my butt one time.
Did he
If you know how to
start
use
you?
Zero Suit, if you know how to use Zero Suit Samus, nobody's gonna win. Or nobody will beat you.
It's pretty much Meta Knight and Brawl.
No, well,
Except
maybe.
more balanced than Meta Knight, but
Meta Knight was nerfed quite a lot from
Yeah.
Brawl because he can't glide anymore. His attacks
I
don't
still
have.
feel, I still think I'm the only person who thought Meta Knight wasn't OP before and is pretty much the same now.
no, I feel his attacks have been nerfed in the sense that they don't go out as fast and they don't do as much damage, and I feel that their launching capabilities have been nerfed as well.
It feels the same to me. Then again, I don't play as Meta
He
Knight
feels a
very often.
little bit weaker to me because I
Yeah.
played him in Brawl. And he feels a bit slower and weaker than he did in Brawl.
Yeah. So
Whereas Kirby feels a bit heavier in this game than he did in Brawl.
I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like Meta Knight's attacks are a lot harder to hit than in Brawl, but maybe that's
I
just
feel
me.
they're about the same when it comes to hitting.
Maybe it's just the animations that are different. That's like screwing with me.
I could play a decent meta if I wanted to, though.
I can play as him decently, but
If I wanted to.
Yeah, you have to adjust to the fact that he doesn't attack as fast as in Brawl.
With characters with delayed attacks like Palutena, you have to learn how to use that delay to your advantage.
Yeah, because Palutena, her attacks have a lot of power to them, but they have a lot of delay behind them, so...
Yeah, that's why I'm working on this Achilles heel for each character. Like Palutena is probably her default moveset is terrible.
Yeah, her default moveset isn't very good, so... Is it...
You
is
can
it
make
good
it work, it's just gonna be hard to do that.
Default set.
Wait, what?
Why would you ever use anyone's default moveset?
Because
Yeah,
you've been
it's
using
hard
that
to
since because you've been using those since Smash 64.
Plus, I find usually using the default, using a default moveset is just a bit more familiar, but using the custom movesets is more fun, especially since more often than not, the custom moves are better. Like
I tend
Samus
to use
is,
custom characters for like more like, say if my buddies want to play like a traditional Smash with items in the normal stages, then I'll do custom characters for that.
Yeah.
But if
and
I
it's-
want to play serious, I just stick with the normal character moveset.
And I do like when they give characters custom moves that a cut character had before, like with Wolf's dash move and PK freeze. Like, it's nice that they at least acknowledge those characters that were cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the custom movesets were an interesting little change, because that's not something we've had before, and it leaves a lot of room for experimentation, which I feel is a good thing. Because that was...
Yeah, I do like the custom moves because I like them, but again, I only use them if I just feel like fucking around.
Like, if I'm just playing seriously, then I won't...
What to win.
And that's one of the that's actually a pretty good example of one of the many reasons why I hate competitive Smash. It takes away all the interesting elements out of the games.
Well,
Like you go
There could still be
you
interesting
play a lot
stuff.
of you play a lot of tournaments or just matches with quote unquote professional players, and they're like no items, basic stages, and with Smash 4 no custom moves or
No.
fucking anything.
no items,
It's like-
Fox only, Final Destination.
Exactly. It's like yeah, it's not like I want to have fun with this game or anything.
Well, I sometimes forget about custom moves. Sometimes I just stick with what I've been used to for all these years. Like I kind of just use them to like screw around every once in a while. But yeah, the
I
problem-
can play Smash both ways. Like I can
Yeah.
play it for the more fun or for glory. I personally prefer the for glory because it's more about skill. But you know, just whatever works for you is fine. Because I really don't like arguing with people. They're like, I prefer this. You're wrong for playing this way.
well,
To me, playing Smash competitively is like trying to play Mario Kart like it's fucking Forza.
Mario Kart is like even harder to do competitively because
'Cause it's bullshit.
the items are randomized, so you can't really be competitive about that. Unless you turn them off, which, if you do that, you should really just be playing a realistic racer.
Then and that's my argument with fucking Smash. If you're gonna turn off the items and the customs and all the shit that makes it interesting, go play fucking Street Fighter.
Yeah, well, I don't mind playing without or with items, but, you know.
Yeah.
It really depends on what mood I'm in, because sometimes the items can get a bit annoying.
That's the point. They're supposed to be a pain in the ass.
Home run bat.
Has that been buffed a little bit? Because I feel that sends you flying faster, but maybe that's just me.
You can get it buffed with the quick swing equipment.
Where the hell? am I
Yeah,
supposed
quick
to go?
swing. Imagine having that in the middle of a fight.
Uh,
Yeah, we had topics in this thing, right?
we're just
Yeah.
kind of talking.
So I got
Alright, so what other topics did we have?
We had the mobile thing.
Which I think we already talked about.
Well, I don't think we talked that about the mobile thing. We talked
No,
about
we
the
just went over the handheld and
yeah. We talked about the NX, but
I am not liking this mobile because I don't like mobile gaming, and mobile gaming to me is a red flag. So that made me a lot less enthusiastic.
I'm not incredibly excited for companies going more mobile, but I totally understand why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Especially with Nintendo and Sega, where the companies are situated in Japan, and mobile gaming is really big in Japan.
Yeah, because I feel Nintendo did it in a sense of like, oh crap, people are playing on mobiles more than they're playing on a 3DS, so let's go mobile now. I feel it could help them in terms of like from a financial standpoint. Okay, no.
But they don't really need help from a financial standpoint. They have so much fucking money banked, man.
Well, that's true, but also it could make them branch out to a wider audience. So, like maybe people that were fans of Nintendo from like the Super Nintendo aren't fans anymore, but they could do this to like bring them back or something.
Yep. I doubt they'll completely abandon like handheld and console gaming.
No, that's not going to happen. Iwata straight out said this doesn't mean they'll stop making consoles. So,
Yeah, it's just like a tree growing another branch.
similar to the whole thing with Sega going mobile, people need to calm the hell down with this because it doesn't mean they're like going strictly mobile. It's just, I really hate it when just the internet as a whole just takes things like this in the wrong context. So
The internet will always do that, okay? You could
Yeah.
tell them you could show them like a blue sheet of paper, tell them it's blue, tell them the exact fucking shade of blue, and they'd still be like, well, I mean, it might be this, and then they'll freak out.
And then someone gets out doing like color chart and says, but it's not here because it's that one shade of blue that isn't actually the next color chart shade.
I can't believe it's not red.
And then they'll talk about how it's racist to colors or something.
Yeah,
Well,
again with this whole, I was never really into the idea of mobile gaming,
Neither.
and just because I need to see what the games are like on there. If they suck, then I won't be surprised, and I feel it'd be a waste of time.
Well, Sonic mobile games have been doing
They've
pretty
been
decently.
alright.
I've played Sonic Jump, and from what I've seen of Dash,
Jump
and,
is okay. Dash is alright. I'm not playing runners anytime soon.
Sonic
all-
Dash is pretty good, and I really enjoyed Sonic Jump Fever. Still waiting for Sonic Runners to come out over here, though.
yeah,
I
Sonic
haven't
Runners
played
looks like
Jump
a
Fever. I
pretty,
just played Jump.
Runners looks like a pretty good mobile game actually. I feel if they are like at that kind of quality, it should be fine. Like it doesn't need to be like, oh, the next big Mario game or anything on there, but
No.
something around Sonic Runners, I feel.
Yeah, it's not hard to do mobile games right. There are quite a
Yeah.
few good ones.
Hello.
Yeah. There are probably some good handhelds.
Chase.
What?
Did you just cut out there?
I don't think so.
Because I think you were saying something and then you just kind of cut out.
Where do you think I cut out?
I said something about the quality of the mobile games being around Sonic Runners. Then you started saying something.
Just pointing out how like mobile game. It's not hard to make good mobile games. Off the top of my head, Doctor Who Legacy and Spider-Man Unlimited are two really good mobile games.
Oh yeah, I played Spider-Man Unlimited for a little while. That was actually a pretty good free runner game.
I'm still playing it. It's really, really good. It's
yeah.
and it's one
I
of the
haven't
few.
played
It's
it
one of the
ever
few
since,
mobile. It's one of the few mobile games that doesn't, shove the microtransactions down your throat.
I haven't played it since the Spider-Verse event started because after Sandman was introduced, I stopped playing because of Smash 4. But,
Well, they just introduced Doc Ock
Oh yeah, and Superior Spider-Man is in there.
along with Superior Venom.
Wait, there's Superior Venom?
Yeah,
Huh.
during Superior Spider-Man, like the actual arc, Agent Venom showed up, unfortunately, and Spider-Man, well, Otto Octavius rather, got the symbiote off of Flash Thompson. He bonded with it, and they became Superior Venom, went nuts. So now Superior Venom and Superior Spider-Man are in the game.
Superior's like Marvel's new super because we have Superior Spider-Man, Superior Iron Man. What's next?
And that's
Superior
it.
Avengers?
Well, we've only had Superior Spider-Man and Superior Iron Man, and Superior Spider-Man is over, and Superior Iron Man is going to end soon.
I need to actually pick up Superior Spider-Man because I actually heard some really good things about it.
I'm gonna be a shill real quick. It's all available to read on Marvel Unlimited right now.
Alright, well, I'll
Yeah,
save myself money for that.
It's only $10 a month.
Apart from the superior thing, at least it's not superior rainbow power effect or whatever.
Marvel Unlimited is only like $10 a month, and I'd say it's a pretty good deal.
I'm not that big of a mobile gamer, but from what I played, it's nice to like play mobile games every once in a while just to see what's there, I guess.
Most mobile games are quick time wasters. It's something
Yeah,
you
pretty
play
much.
while you're waiting for the bus.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I love how my joke just got completely disregarded because no one got it. To be fair, I didn't tell it right, but no one got the joke.
Yeah, I didn't get it at all.
It was my only joke.
What didn't you get?
Imagine if the Marvel superheroes got rainbow powers like from My Little Pony.
Oh shit, we'd get electric blue Superman all over again.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't even care about Superman simply.
Well, neither do I, but oh shit, electric blue Superman was stupid.
They just released, speaking of Superman, they just released Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor for Batman v Superman.
Oh really?
Yeah. They
I
released
still-
it a few days
I-
ago.
I still highly doubt that DC's attempt at a cinematic universe is gonna be any good.
They also just released the first look at the Deadpool suit for the Deadpool movie.
Yeah, I saw that. That looks really cool. I still don't know how I feel about Ryan Reynolds because,
Of X-Men Origins.
well, I was thinking more because of Green Lantern and how unbelievably awful that movie was.
I never saw Green Lantern.
Don't. Oh God, don't.
I've heard it's really bad.
It is.
I hear the game was worse than the movie.
Really?
I can't speak for that.
I thought I heard the game was better than the movie.
Look, they're but I assume they're both shit. Like I know the movie's terrible.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to
Did
look.
it have anything to do with the Green Lantern character, or was it just a bunch of pointless crap that happened?
For me, it was just really, really, really boring.
How do you make Green Lantern boring?
I don't know. The weirdest part is that Jeff Johns was involved in the movie, and I'm like, Jeff Johns is probably the best Green Lantern writer ever, and he's involved with this, and it's so awful. What the hell? How do you screw that up?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look the game up now because I'm curious about that.
I think it's called Rise of the Manhunters.
It is.
It's one of those games that, despite it being a movie license, it doesn't follow the movie storyline. Kind of reminds me of the first Amazing Spider-Man game, and is that game's story supposed to take place after the movie?
Yeah, it takes place after the movie.
And
I
then
don't
the
know
second
how
game-
soon after the
Then
movie,
the second
but...
movie's game was just its own story, which confused the hell out of me.
Well, the second game is kind of both. It tells its own story, but also the events of the movie.
It's weird, yeah.
The events of the movie they just kind of happen. Like you rescue Max Dillon, in the very beginning of the game, and then like halfway through the game, he's like, "I'm Electro now." You fight him, and then
Electro, bitch!
there's also a couple of cutscenes with Harry, and he's like, "Give me
I
your
hated
blood
the
so I
Amazing
can."
2 game story, or at least how it was portrayed, because it just felt really... Because I felt like it didn't know what it wanted to be. Like, it didn't know
I
if
think
it wanted to be its own story or an adaptation of the movie.
The stuff that it was doing that was unique to itself, I think, was pretty good. But when it tried to get the movie's plot in there, it felt really awkward and unnecessary.
I feel Beanox has been better with like doing their own thing with Spider-Man rather than having like movie adaptations.
I still think
like-
this is a personal opinion, but I think the second Amazing game is better than the first because I was severely disappointed by the first game, and the second one wasn't much better, but at least it felt more like a Spider-Man game than the first one did.
I think they're both pretty good, but they're really trying to be Batman Arkham and not
Which doesn't help.
100%, and they're not 100% succeeding.
I don't feel Spider-Man really works in that playstyle, to be honest.
It works to an extent, but
It kind of works, but I think it's more like the combat just doesn't necessarily work too well. So I think the exploration definitely works, just not so much the combat.
the Arkham style of combat works fine for Spider-Man, but Beanox did not quite hit the same level of quality that Rocksteady could do.
Yeah, because the combat sessions in those games are fucking easy to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I still had fun, but just it was easy.
I guess they had some more experience with making stealth sections with Shattered Dimensions.
Don't remind me of the first game with its stealth sections, especially since that game had regenerating health, which I hated that a lot.
I haven't played Shattered Dimensions yet, but
Shattered Dimensions is great.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I love Shattered Dimensions.
So,
It can be a bit...
unlike a lot of people though, I'm kind of iffy on Spider-Man Noir.
I think it's a nice way to break up the pace since the other Spider-Man play very similarly, and Noir is kind of a nice break of pace.
that's true. But
Like the
for-
character is certainly interesting, but the gameplay was not too great. I think I think the main reason I think that is when I first played Shattered Dimensions, I was fresh off of I think Arkham City for like the third playthrough or something like that.
That probably is why, because you
So
probably
it's-
got burned out.
Well, I was just really used to the way Arkham City's stealth was and how great that was, and Shattered Dimensions stealth is very different and not quite as good. So
I still think Shattered Dimensions is the best Beanox Spider-Man game we got, because after that they made Edge of Time, which sucks. I hated it.
I liked Edge of Time, probably because
It had,
I like Spider-Man 2099 out of all the different like versions of Spider-Man we got in Edge
kinda
of
reminds me of,
Dimensions, but
yeah, from what I've seen of both Edge of Time and Shattered Dimensions, I feel that 2099 is going to be my favorite gameplay-wise.
To me,
2099 is
2099 feels more like a Mega Man X equivalent to Spider-Man because
Yeah,
they
I
take place in the future.
Yeah, I can see that.
about 100 years too. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, what was the time for Amazing Spider-Man?
generally just whatever year the story is set in.
Yeah. Amazing
But the,
Spider-Man 1 was the
2099. The Marvel 2099 stuff came out, I think, in like 1992, so about 100 years.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Speed Highway.
Although I gotta be honest and say that Dan Gilvezan, who voiced Spider-Man in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, for as good as he is as Spider-Man, I don't think he fits for 2099. I think Christopher Daniel
don't think-
Barnes did a way better job.
You're talking about Miguel O'Hara, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree on that. I mean, I do think, I still think my favorite Spider-Man voice actor is Josh Keaton of Spectacular
Josh
Spider-Man.
Keaton's great. I think Josh Keaton is perfect for like Peter Parker Spider-Man, and if they ever do 2099 stuff, it's Christopher Daniel Barnes.
It's better
like,
than
I
Drake Bell,
read-
that's for sure.
Because I read the first, I think, 5 or 6 issues of 2099's most recent series, and as I was reading them, could hear Christopher Daniel Barnes' voice in my head for 2099's dialogue and thoughts.
Yeah.
Didn't
I
the
can see that.
didn't the voice for Noir Spider-Man do the voice for Miguel O'Hara in Ezra
Yeah.
Time?
Yeah. Christopher Daniel
He
Barnes
also
was the
did
voice
the
for
90s
Spider-Man Noir.
cartoon.
Ah.
Because each Spider-Man voice actor in that game was on a Spider-Man animated series. Amazing Spider-Man was Neil Patrick Harris, which did the MTV Spider-Man series, which I
Which
think
was
was
short-
supposed to.
It was
short-lived.
short-lived,
I
but
think it was
for what it
supposed
was,
to-
it was pretty good.
Alright. I think it was supposed to be an alternate continuity of the Raimi trilogy.
It was.
That's what I've
I
heard.
think I remember hearing it's supposed to like take place in between the first and second movie.
I
something
think
like
it's
that.
more to the take of it.
I think I can't remember what I know it had something to do with the Raimi trilogy, but even
And
though
then,
it wasn't, even though the show wasn't supposed to end in the way it did, I still feel like the way it ends is a pretty damn good ending.
And there was Josh Keaton who did Ultimate. In the game, he did Ultimate Spider-Man, but he's known for the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series, which shouldn't have been canceled, by the way.
But it was. I honestly wouldn't be so sour about Spectacular's cancellation if it hadn't been followed up by fucking Ultimate Spider-Man.
Fuck that cartoon.
And Ultimate Spider-Man wouldn't be that bad if it didn't have Family Guy humor, as I call it.
No, if it didn't have Family Guy humor, it would be okay at best. I mean, I'd be content with that, but are you fucking kidding me? That just doesn't work for Spider-Man at all.
Yeah.
I know that it's supposed to be based off the Ultimate Universe, and I'm not incredibly well versed in that, but I know it has barely fucking anything to do with it aside from
And then
having the same origins for the Green Goblin and Venom. Otherwise, I think it's no different.
And then, who did you say was the guy who did 2999 in Shattered Dimensions?
That was Dan Gilvezan who voiced
Yeah, he did
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man
and Spider-Man
and-
and His Amazing Friends.
The 80s Spider-Man cartoon is surprisingly boring, because I tried watching it a while ago and I was bored of it.
Well, try watching Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and then you'll get a face full of
I have a
fucking-
nostalgic value to that show, because that was one of the very first Spider-Man shows I watched with the 90s series.
I tried to watch it on Netflix. I watched like the first episode, and I'm like, you know what? Nah, this isn't really doing it for me. Although Frank Welker is surprisingly fitting as Iceman.
And then we get Christopher Daniel Barnes, who did Noir, and he did the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, which animation-wise does not hold up well at all, but I still think it has really good entertainment value to it.
Yeah, I rewatched the '94 series after finishing up Spectacular, actually. And while I feel quality-wise and just enjoyment-wise, I like Spectacular a bit more, I still think that that the '94 series is really good.
I love what they did with the second season, how they made him transform, actually mutate more.
Okay, aside from maybe season 4, Neogenic's Nightmare was probably the worst part of the entire show.
Neogenic's Nightmare, that was season 5, right?
No, Neogenic's Nightmare was season 2. Past season 1, every season had like subtitles for everything. Season 2 was Neogenic's Nightmare. Season 3 was what the fuck was season 3? Sins of the Fathers. Season 4 was
What, the
Partners-
cat?
Season 4 was Partners in Danger. Season 5 was both Secret Wars and Spider Wars, I think they called it.
It was
Or
the
no,
Clone
season-
Saga
season
done
5.
correctly.
Season 5 was like multiple arcs. It was 6 Forgotten Warriors, Secret Wars, and then Spider Wars, I think they called it.
Yeah. I haven't seen that show in a long time, and I'm watching it as a kid every Saturday morning when it came on.
It's all on Hulu. It used to be on Netflix, but it isn't.
Yeah, that's where I watched it recently. It was on Netflix. One thing I do like about that show is what they did with the Vulture and how they gave him this aging device.
Yeah, it was weird but interesting.
Yeah, same goes for the Scorpion. They made him more of a character in that show.
Although he was really a non-element in the show. He appeared in total probably like only 3 or 4 times.
And then I think the last episode, or I think one of the last episodes, mentioned Gwen Stacy, or at least had her cameo.
Yeah, she was in during Spider Wars when they were going to the different universes. We went to Armored Spider-Man's or Armored Spider's universe, and he was engaged to Gwen Stacy.
I think that Spider-Man died in Spider-Verse.
He did. It's only in a panel, but
Yeah.
It showed that Armored Spider died.
Although I still think the most grim, at least one of the most symbolic deaths, or however it's said, was the Civil War Iron Spider was his head shotted. He was lying to a poster with Iron Man, kind of like Uncle Sam. It's fucking creepy, man.
Yeah. Although there was one death that made me very happy to see in Spider-Verse, and that was the death of Spider-Man Unlimited.
That show was really that was a big missed opportunity.
That show sucked. Like, Reno Romano was pretty good as Spider-Man, and I was kind of happy to hear him in the PS1 Spider-Man game. But, oh god, that show was horrible.
Hey,
I hate
Venom
it.
and Carnage are going to some alternate reality where animals and
Well-
people are at a war with each other.
It was alternate Earth. They called it Counter Earth because we couldn't come up with a better name. I don't even know if it was in an alternate dimension. I think the planet just appeared in the sky one day, and NASA was like, let's send John Jameson there.
Okay.
And then
Wow.
Venom and Carnage were like, we'll hijack the shuttle or whatever.
I hated
And
what
then-
they did with Venom and Carnage in that show.
Within the first episode, the writers show that they know jack shit about how Venom and Carnage actually work. Like they seep into the cracks of the shuttle. Venom and Carnage don't work that way. That's like if
Well,
Venom and Carnage were.
Venom and Carnage also have a father-son relationship, with Carnage being the son. Which is why I was particularly shocked in the Amazing 2 game, where they just had Carnage. They had Venom in the mobile version, but he was not in the console game, and I was confused as to why that wasn't there. But
Yeah,
whatever.
usually if you have Venom, you have Carnage, but not the other way around.
At one point, I like the only thing I really didn't like, at least when it came to Carnage in Amazing Spider-Man 2, was how he just came right the fuck out of nowhere.
Yeah, I hate.
It's like end of the game. By the way, Carnage is here now.
I think
That's
they
one
just
thing I
did
hated
that
about
for.
that game story. Just shit happened at random.
Yeah.
I feel they just
Although
put.
they at least got Carnage right, unlike
Yeah, they did. They got
un-
they got a good Carnage.
unlike fucking Shattered Dimensions, where Carnage was just this snarling monster thing.
That's
like,
how
you
he
guys
is in the
remember.
Ultimate Comics.
It's like you guys remember that Carnage is a person, kind of, right?
Well, that's what the Ultimate Comics Carnage is like. He's just this really creepy monster.
I don't know anything about the Ultimate Universe.
I
other
think you
than-
should check out the Ultimate Universe. I think it's a really the Ultimate Spider-Man. I don't
How
know
many
anything
universes
about
of Spider-Man
X-Men or
are
anything.
there? Seriously.
There's a
What?
shit ton, but the only two that really matter are 616, the main universe, and Ultimate. And they're about to be merged into one with Secret Wars happening in May.
Are the games connected in any way to the universes, or
I don't
are they
think
just
so.
they're just their own
Although
thing?
the Marvel Wiki lists all the video games in their own separate universe.
Okay.
I think anyway.
It would make sense.
I mean, there's also is 2099 like the 616 in the future?
Yeah, 2099 is 616, just in the year 2099.
All right. Yeah, because with all these different Earths and comics, you could do your own things. But if I were to adapt Spider-Man, I'd make it like the Nickelodeon Ninja Turtles cartoon with how it acknowledges previous incarnations, but it does its
Yeah.
own things as well, just so it's not like completely copying everything.
Well,
Yeah. What I
They
really
pretty
want to
much-
see, just go ahead, Harry.
they've pretty much shown that all Ninja Turtles incarnations have been canon. So
With Turtles Forever, even though that thing fucking sucked.
I liked it, but they showed
The 80s Turtles are idiots, right, guys?
No, they aren't.
According
Well,
to Turtles Forever, they are.
In one episode of the 2012 show, they showed the 80s Turtles through a dimensional thing.
And they
so,
got them right too.
Yeah.
That episode did that much better in the last few seconds than Turtles Forever did in the whole movie, and that's just shameful.
Yeah.
Turtles Forever at least got the 2003 and the Mirage Comics Turtles right, but
No,
oh god,
that just shows how biased that was, because I felt like that thing was biased as hell.
Well,
you could swear that the writers of the damn thing just hated the '87 show with every bone in their body.
Oh, it's like seeing it's like seeing 2003 fanboys look at the old cartoon. That's how I felt while I was watching it. They know the Mirage Turtles, they know the 2003 Turtles, but they hate the old Turtles, which just doesn't work with me.
Okay, so you know the cutscene in Red Mountain before you go to the egg carrier.
Yeah.
Sonic was supposed to jump onto the tornado, but he didn't do that, so he just stood there and just randomly teleported onto the tornado too.
One thing I pointed out in my Let's Play of Sonic Adventure, in Tails' version of that cutscene, Sonic doesn't jump on the capsule.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was just standing there in an awkward pose.
He's just like, now I'm here.
Yeah.
Anyway, like Spider-Man has a shit ton of weird universes. Technically, we've got 3 comics following different universes now. Actually,
I can't wait to see how the Renew Your Vows is actually going to come into play after the worst comic I've ever read, One More Day. That's basically our Sonic 06 equivalent of Spider-Man right there.
except it's actually despicable.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Sonic 06 had Sonic being an idiot, but at least he didn't make a deal with the fucking devil.
Yeah.
He never
Fuck
even
that.
met the guy, so
Yeah. I feel it would have been interesting if Sonic actually met Nephilis.
Hey, let's make a deal where I abandon my wife and my future just to go back to basics and have my aunt live. That won't piss anyone off at all.
DC is actually doing this really weird thing where they have decided that characters can't be married because that makes for boring stories.
Fuck that.
It's like, and I'm sitting here like, we had like, 20 years where Spider-Man was married, and aside from the Clone Saga, most of the stuff that was there was really, really good.
Yeah, mainly because I think Spider-Man being married is like an entirely new part of the character.
Yeah.
So, if you take that away, you're just taking part of the character away. Don't do that.
Although what they're doing now with Spider-Man is pretty good. I'm
They just
liking
recently
that.
destroyed Parker Industries, right?
If I recall correctly, yeah. I still need to read Spider-Verse. Right now,
Spider-Verse is pretty good, actually.
I'm interested just because it's Spider-Man. Right now, though, my brain, most of my comic money when it comes to Marvel is stuck on Spider-Gwen and Silk. And the rest of my comic money in general goes to Sonic and Sonic Universe.
Spider-Gwen was definitely a very interesting concept. It's basically the same story, but with Gwen. And instead of the night Gwen Stacy died, it's the night Peter Parker died.
And much different to Gwen Stacy's death, Peter became the Lizard.
What?
He really?
Yeah,
Wow.
in Earth 65, which is the Earth where Spider-Gwen takes place, when Gwen got her powers, because Peter wasn't bit by the spider, he stayed weak, and so Gwen protected him from bullies, which eventually caused him to develop an inferiority complex. And I think when he learned that Gwen was the Spider-Woman that was, going around town, he created a serum that would give him superpowers like Spider-Woman. But that turned him into the Lizard, which caused him to go crazy, and so Gwen had to fight him, and then he died.
Wow.
Tragic.
And then Spider-Gwen was blamed for his death.
Well, she's called the Spider-Woman of that universe.
I know, but everybody's gonna call her Spider-Gwen anyway, so.
The thing I want to do with my Spider-Man series is that I'm thinking, because I'm in the process of doing the pilot right now, which is supposed to take place after Uncle Ben's death. Peter's supposed to have the Spider-Man costume and the name. He just hasn't started his career yet, you could say. And I'm trying to figure out all these different concepts for what I want to do. One of them is to have, you know, not the 90s one, the 70s one. Except
Wow.
it's just the Gwen part of it.
I assume you'll be trying to resurrect Toei Spider-Man next.
Toy Spider-Man didn't die.
Oh no, I mean just like elements.
Oh, that would
Toei
be.
Spider-Man was fucking weird.
No, I was thinking the other day about that, to where after that series is over, a spin-off series called Spiders would be made, and then they would be like the Power Rangers and just have like different parts of Leopardon.
Yeah, I shall repeat. Toei Spider-Man was fucking weird. He had a Megazord.
Yeah. He had a Megazord and everything. He was awesome.
It was entertaining, weird but entertaining. And then, yeah, currently people are speculating when it comes to Spider-Gwen of who's going to be Venom, because if it plays out like the 616 universe, and it seems to be doing that at least to an extent, there's going to be a Venom. There's going to be a symbiote, and they're going to do that. And so they're trying to figure it out. And most people have pretty much settled on MJ is probably going to be Venom.
Have they? I haven't read Spider-Gwen, but I need to start reading that. But have they done that universe yet?
What? Repeat
Have
that?
they showed up Mary Jane in Spider-Gwen's universe yet?
Yeah, I think she has a brief appearance in the first issue, and then she and Glory Grant actually talk with Gwen in the second issue. And they go to her and they're like, you need to be in this band to keep it from falling apart. Because Earth 65 Gwen Stacy is in a band called the Mary Janes.
Yeah, but when you said MJ, I instantly thought Michael Jackson.
Yeah, they're gonna introduce Michael Jackson into Spider-Gwen, and he's gonna be Venom.
No, it's ignorance.
And then the Thriller starts playing.
That would be pretty interesting to see, actually.
They'd probably do that. You know what? They'd probably do that in Deadpool. Now that I think about it,
Well, Deadpool, you could do anything in.
Well,
they're gonna kill Deadpool soon. Actually,
They are?
How are they
Yeah,
gonna kill Deadpool?
in just a few issues, Deadpool dies.
well,
How are they gonna kill him?
how are you
I
gonna
don't
kill
know,
him if he just
probably-
comes back?
They've killed Deadpool before, briefly. Like I think it was only for like one issue, but he's been dead before. When he fought Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, but he just comes back, so. is
So
he-
what? Does someone get his magic sword that he used to kill Wolverine with or something?
Well, when Deadpool fought Squirrel Girl, she created a bunch of tiny scratches on his body that were so small his healing factor didn't even register them as a problem.
Ah.
So he just bled out.
Ah.
Fuck. Squirrel
And
Girl,
then,
man. Don't fucking
I imagine they'll undo Deadpool's death in the same way they're gonna undo Wolverine's death with the upcoming Secret Wars. Although Wolverine's death was actually kind of cool. This coming from a guy who fucking hates Wolverine and all of the
I
X-Men.
hate Wolverine too. I
This coming from a
he
guy
pretty
who
much
hates
destroys
Wolverine
what
and
the
the
X-Men
X-Men.
should be, because the X-Men is supposed to be a social commentary on segregation, and then Wolverine comes and just ruins all of that.
He's like, I'm in everything, bub.
No, I would be fine if Wolverine had his own series. It's like connected to X-Men, but it's sort of not, but
They-
not taking over the whole thing.
They actually rebranded X-Men at one point to Wolverine and the X-Men.
Wow.
That's what the movies are to me.
Well, yeah. There was even a TV show that was just Wolverine and the X-Men. And it
Which was actually kind of good.
Yeah, I hated it. That's because I hate the X-Men. But Wolverine's death was actually pretty cool.
He gets killed by a silver bullet, right?
I don't remember the exact details. Holy fuck, it is windy outside. I don't remember the exact details. All I remember is somehow all of the adamantium that is in his body like is expelled from his body, and like he gets covered in it. It's liquid adamantium for a bit, and eventually it starts to harden. And he, in his last moments, he climbs some stairs, and just as the sun is going down, he realizes that the adamantium is hardening, and he can't breathe. So he just stands in front of the sunset and lets the adamantium harden. And that's how he dies.
Damn.
Wow.
Fair enough.
And he's been dead since November, so he's been dead longer than I expected him to be. I thought he'd be back by January.
No, in comics. This is why I want deaths in comics to mean something, because if you kill a character, they're gonna be back in like a year at least.
Well, some characters take a while, like Barry Allen, the second Flash, died in Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1985. He didn't come back until 2008.
Damn.
Oh wow.
Gwen Stacy is still technically dead in the 616 Earth. And
Dead
clones
for
and
a long
robots
time.
don't count.
Ah, sins past. Why do you do that?
Fucking Thomas and Martha Wayne are always dead, aside
Michael
from
Ramsone's dead.
Flashpoint, where Thomas Wayne was Batman and Martha Wayne was the Joker.
What the hell? What?
Yeah, the Flashpoint was weird, good but weird.
I swear I just went inside a platform just then.
There are quite a few characters in comics that stay dead and have to stay
Yeah,
dead no matter
I
what.
just saw a video on a comic book cast too. They just said something about Lois Lane dying again.
Oh yeah, I wish I cared. I don't keep up with DC, and I especially don't keep up with fucking Superman. The last I knew about Lois Lane was Brainiac had mind controlled her, and when Superman was turning into Doomsday, no, really, she got like this telepathic. She got these telepathic powers and could fly and was super strong. And then Superman purged all the Brainiac nanites from her body, but she still had her superpowers.
Huh.
Meh, isn't that as interesting as Superman's black machine, if anyone remembers that?
I do remember that. Remember his fat gun?
I
Jeez,
just
like,
I haven't really seen much of Superman, but from what I've seen, he just doesn't interest me in the slightest.
no, Superman stuff can be batshit insane.
Well,
Let me bring up the time that Superman shot rainbows out of his fingers that created miniature versions of himself.
What the hell?
Yeah, this is why when going by Superman's powers, you go by the standard subset and not all the stuff you can do in the comics.
Well, recently he actually got another power that I don't know if they've already retconned out, but I kind of hope they don't because it's actually kind of cool. Basically, all that solar energy that he stores up in his cells from being under the yellow sun,
Oh, what?
he
yes, same.
can expel all of that out in a giant explosion that destroys like fucking everything around him. But because it expels all that solar energy from him, he doesn't have his powers for a couple of days. So after using the super flare, as it's called, he effectively becomes human for a while.
Huh.
Which, if he doesn't kill everything on the battlefield, would suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
then,
not sure if he knew that was his job and he had a gun.
Oh, I'm gonna bring up the time Batman had a gun.
In his early career, right?
Yep, he shot criminals all the time.
Makes sense.
But then they were like,
To
nah.
kill them, the criminals can't come back.
Yeah, I remember one in particular that was really weird. That I don't remember the story leading up to it, but after he catches the criminal, Batman says to him, "And I'm gonna make sure you never do this to anyone again," and then he shoots him.
Fuck.
that's like the last thing you do today.
Yeah. Although,
Didn't
what's
he
going
shoot-
on with Batman anyway?
I don't know.
What were you saying, Joe?
Didn't he shoot the Joker once?
Did he?
I don't think so.
know.
I don't think he did.
Might have been an alternate universe.
Maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
At the end of the Killing joke, they heavily implied that Wrangle's the Joker, though it's never actually shown.
Of course.
I know he kills the Joker in that DC fighting game.
Well, yeah, but that's an alternate universe. Or no, that was Superman that killed the Joker.
That was Superman.
That's Injustice, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Which
still
has
need
a
to play
comic
that.
series
That looks like
now, by the way.
I still need to play that game.
Didn't they just
Figured-
end the Injustice comics?
I honestly have no idea. Like I said, I don't follow DC. I buy like solo issues every now and then, and even rarer trade paperbacks that interest me. Like, I bought the first trade paperback of Supergirl and read that, and that's pretty good.
Didn't
As
they
well
make
as-
a really, really bad movie of that?
Well, yeah, in like the 80s.
They're making a Supergirl TV series, I think.
Yep.
Because DC has like a lot of the TV shows.
Yeah, DC's apparently doing really good with TV shows, but
I haven't
like
seen
Arrow.
any of theirs, but my brother likes Arrow.
I've watched a few episodes of Arrow. I'm gonna start watching Flash, and I'm considering watching Gotham, but I'm
I'm not watching Gotham.
already pissed about Gotham for introducing villains when Bruce Wayne is like 10. I'm like, you're gonna introduce the Penguin, and Batman doesn't even exist yet.
Wow.
You don't do that.
I don't want to watch Gotham. I mean, I'm interested in Flash, just not fucking Gotham.
What-
Fuck you.
Was the Penguin at that time still sane?
Yeah, the Penguin at that time would just be a guy.
Huh.
Although, fun
That's
fact in the TV series The Batman, and maybe in the comics, they revealed that the Penguin is actually a Pennyworth. He's related to Alfred.
Really?
Yep.
That's
Oh, that's
interesting.
interesting.
That's interesting.
And also in that show, one of Batman's Batman had like 3 friends in the Gotham Police Department in that show, and one of them became Clayface.
Huh.
Jesus.
So the best thing that came from the Batman fought fucking Dracula.
Huh.
I never saw that.
Been a spin-off.
The Batman versus Dracula was actually really, really good. If you've ever wanted to see Vampire Joker,
You know, that's saying something since I hated that show.
I liked it quite a lot.
I love its first theme song, but I just never liked the show itself. Most of the Batman experiences I've had as a kid were pretty negative. Like, the first Batman movie I watched was Batman and Robin. The first Batman show I ever saw was The Batman.
Well, could have been worse. You could have watched any of the Nolan films first.
I've only seen Rises and I fucking hated it.
They all suck.
Batman.
And yet Dark Knight is considered one of the best superhero movies ever.
Like, okay, I will give the Nolan films this. I hate all of them, but they each have one halfway decent thing about them. Batman Begins it can take comfort in knowing that it doesn't have Christian Bale's Bat voice as extreme as it would get in Rises. Dark Knight has the Joker, which admittedly was pretty damn cool. And then Dark Knight Rises has Bane, which was fucking hilarious.
And then that movie Rises bored me and confused the shit out of me too, with that big plot hole with Batman somehow coming to Gotham with like no assistance whatsoever.
He's like, I was on this prison. It was like miles away from Gotham. Now I'm back.
I hate
back,
that
baby.
voice. I hate that voice.
I'm back, baby.
So do I. I really hate saying like that so many times because Christian Bale is a great actor and he's a really good Bruce Wayne. And I think he's got the right build for Batman, but that voice ruins everything.
But it's great to take the piss out.
And then now
Yeah,
they're
it's-
doing Batman. They're doing Batman v Superman. So we'll see how Ben Affleck fares.
Well, the Justice League movie subtitled Batman v Superman.
Just call it Justice League.
That's just a joke that has been running around a few places of the internet because it's got cameos from like every single fucking Justice League member.
Like
So-
Aquaman.
Well, Aquaman's a major part of the movie,
Is he?
from what I've heard anyway.
It's like a Civil War and how Black Panther, like before the whole Marvel Sony deal, Black Panther was supposed to be in Spider-Man's position.
Yeah.
I wonder how they're
Although,
gonna do Black Panther now because of that.
I don't know. We'll find out. I'm still really looking forward to a lot of the stuff Marvel has planned.
Like I'm looking forward to the Civil War. I'm looking forward to Ant-Man and Civil War and stuff.
I'm looking forward to all of them.
Hmm.
Although I care way more, I'm actually really interested in Inhumans, simply because they are the X-Men without being complete shit. The thing with the X-Men, most of them are boring. And the only one that ever interested me was Wolverine, because I didn't know jack shit about him. Now I know everything about Wolverine, because they've expanded on every bit of Wolverine's personality, and so I don't care. I don't know fucking anything about the Inhumans, and so I'm interested.
Yeah, because Age of Ultron has them already with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Although they are supposed to be mutants, but Marvel did this thing recently where it was revealed that Magneto isn't actually Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch's father, and so they're actually, while they're mutants, they're also like half inhuman, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it's stupid, but all right.
And then also Fox's Fantastic Four remake, which looks like shit.
I wish I cared. Like I've never cared about the Fantastic Four.
I think
They're the start-
Four is
they're
like the
the-
most underrated Marvel property ever. They always get short ends of the stick when it comes to like adaptations of them.
Like they're the start of the Marvel universe, yeah, but they just never really interested me. Well, technically they're the start of the Marvel universe anyway. You could probably argue that Namor was the start, but
Well, you could argue that the Fantastic Four did start the universe because at that point we had Namor, Captain America, but the F4 was kind of what gave the extra push
the
to allow
FF
like
started.
Spider-Man and all the others to come up.
The FF started the Marvel universe as we know it now. They were the first thing that was of Marvel anyway that was wholly Stan Lee's creation, at least
I think
superhero-wise.
X-Men was his last, right, of the main, because we have Spider-Man that came after Fantastic Four. We had Hulk, Iron Man, Thor. We had a couple of other things. I think X-Men was one of the last.
Thor was also half the creation of his brother Larry, because Stan Lee came up with the idea, but Larry Lieber wrote the script for the very first issue that Thor appeared in. But yeah, a lot of what Marvel has now in its like big names, probably Stan Lee created them.
Yeah. I also liked how like most other Marvel heroes are actually much bigger than they were like 10 years ago.
Why isn't Stan
Yeah.
Lee playable in Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Huh?
What?
Isn't Stan Lee playable in Amazing Spider-Man 2 as DLC or something?
He's playable in the first one,
Ah, okay. So
as
that's,
is the Lizard and the Rhino.
that's freaking hilarious, though.
Yeah. Both games have a ton of alternate suits for Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I like how the second game, one of the skins was there's like I think it's Ricochet, this really shitty looking white costume.
Yeah, there was a bit in Spider-Man's history where like everybody hated him, and so he had a quote unquote identity crisis and suited up as a bunch of other heroes, Ricochet and Hornet being one of them, or Ricochet and Hornet being two of them. and
Was
those
this
are
in the
costumes
comics or
appear
the
in that
general
game.
public?
Comics, like within the universe, everybody fucking hated Spider-Man.
Damn.
So
Why, what
he was
happened?
like,
What did he do again?
I honestly can't remember. But something happened where everybody hated Spider-Man, so he's like, I'm gonna suit up as a bunch of different heroes. And he was, I only remember Ricochet and the Hornet. There were a couple of others, but I don't remember them.
It's fucking ridiculous.
It was silly, but comic books.
Yeah.
I also didn't help that it was 90s comics, I think.
Yeah, 90s were the dark age of comics. The 90s
they
was the
were.
time. 90s was the time of Rob Liefeld.
90s was the dark age of everything.
Well, 90s was like the greatest time for pop culture, mainly because
In
of just how
video
fucking,
games.
Yeah, the 90s was a great time for video games.
Not so much
90s
comics.
No.
The 90s were really weird and crazy for like pop culture, but they were dark and poorly drawn for comics.
Because I think the 80s was a really good period for Spider-Man in particular.
The 80s and the really early 90s for Spider-Man were pretty good, but once the Clone Saga happened,
Nope.
oh god.
Uh-huh. No, I'd argue Maximum Carnage was when it started.
Oh, the Maximum Carnage was good though, so
No, I hated it. Or
Which,
at
by
least
the
I
way,
hated. At least I hated.
another thing to bring up, Maximum Carnage is currently available to read on Marvel Unlimited.
At least I hated how repetitive it was, because it just dragged its point out so long. It's like I get
Yeah,
it. Move on.
I enjoyed it, but I mean, different people, different taste.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't fucking Maximum Clonage.
What was Maximum Clonage? I know it was part of the second Clone Saga, but
That's all
what
that
was
really
again?
matters, is that it was part of the Clone Saga.
Let's see what else was. Well, who cares? The first one I've heard, because I never actually read the first Clone Saga. The first one was a really good story. The second
first one
one
was-
was just dragged out by like corporal mandates or something.
Yeah, the first one was in the 70s, and it only lasted a couple of issues, and it introduced Ben Reilly. And it was good, that was it. Then they decided to bring it back in the 90s for whatever reason, and because everything has sold so well, Marvel's PR department was like, we need to keep this going for as long as possible, completely forgetting that if you drag something out, it's going to suck pretty soon, and the Clone
Yeah.
Saga sucked.
Yeah. It really did. It was like the first really bad Spider-Man story.
And it's still, and yet it's still not, at least it's not one more day. Oh god,
least.
at least it's not one more day.
No, I can understand why the Clone Saga, the second one was bad. One More Day was just someone wanting to. No, I think whoever made that hated Spider-Man and wanted to go against everything he stood for.
I can't remember, I think,
Joe Quesada was.
Joe Quesada
one
was
behind
the, I think he was the writer for One More Day, but the reason behind their divorce, I think, was editorial mandate. The editor, they decided that we need to get rid of Spider-Man's marriage, and Joe Quesada was willing to write the story because, I mean, his bosses were telling him to do it, so of course he was going to, but he didn't want to. He didn't want to break them up. I think that's the story anyway.
Should I read about Kane, the second Scarlet Spider? Should I read about him?
Only read his run as the Scarlet Spider. Otherwise, no.
What was wrong with Kane? Because I know he's a deformed Peter Parker clone created by the Jackal.
Kane, everything that was wrong with 90s character, with the comics in the 90s.
Oh, so typical anti-hero.
Yeah, Kane was brooding and boring, mainly. Kind of,
I thought Kane was the first vampire.
not... Yes, but he was also the second Scarlet Spider. But basically, if you want to read about Kane, just read his run as the Scarlet Spider, and that's all that matters.
He moves to Texas and then he just becomes like the Spider-Man of that area.
Yeah, my favorite thing about like his first arc, I can't remember what issue it's in. Right when he decides to be the Scarlet Spider to help people, he saves an old woman and then yells at her for being stupid enough to walk out in front of a moving truck or something. He's like, I'm gonna help people and be a hero. And not 5 minutes later, he's like, you idiot, what were you doing?
Sorry.
Modesty. How not to?
But,
He just died recently, I think, in Spider-Verse.
I think so, yeah. But Kane's
They used
run
the
is
other
Scarlet
pretty well,
Spider.
because Kane was pretty much... Alright, so they tried doing something called The Other with Peter, which was just new powers for him. They got rid of that, and then they said, maybe we should get Kane this, because, you know, Kane is supposed to be kind of like the darker version of Spider-Man, you could say. I mean, he is a Peter Parker clone.
A pretty fucked up one at that, like, literally.
Yeah. And,
But yeah,
who else is there? There's, how's Silk doing? In particular?
Silk is pretty good. There's not a whole lot just of her in general because her solo book is pretty new, but I'm enjoying it. When I first heard the concept, I was like, what? Mainly because she was bitten by the same spider that gave Peter his powers.
Oh.
Like the exact same one.
You know, it's really weird because, I just recently, well, not just recently, a couple of years ago, I found out that the reason why Peter can't detect people like Ben Reilly or Silk is because I think it's if a person has the same powers, they can't detect it somehow. Like they're linked.
I think with Silk it's just because they were bitten by the same
Spider.
spider. With people like Ben Reilly and Venom, his spider sense registers. Since Ben Reilly is a clone of Peter, so his spider sense registers Ben Reilly as Peter, and it's the same with Venom. The symbiote was part of Spider-Man for so long that the spider sense just does not register it as a threat.
Wow.
It still registers. I think it's no. I don't think it registers Carnage either because Carnage is Venom's offspring.
I always thought of it as if you got bit by this, like if you had the same powers, you couldn't detect it. That is actual like connection to it.
Yeah, they did a fairly decent job of explaining that Venom is a really good villain, and then they made him fucking Agent Venom and fucked it all up.
That was Flash Thompson, right?
Yep. Like Flash Thompson's whole story and how he becomes Agent Venom is really cool, but Agent Venom sucks. What
is Agent Venom?
Agent Venom is Venom if they took away all the interesting stuff about him. He's the U after Matt Gargan, who was the second Venom.
Scorpion.
Yeah. After they got the symbiote from him, the US government somehow got a hold of it. I have no fucking clue how. They started injecting it with all these chemicals and shit that would like suppress its insane nature. And then Flash Thompson, who had just lost both of his legs in, I think, Afghanistan, was selected to be the first in essentially a new super soldier program, where they would give him the they gave him the symbiote so he could be a new generation of soldiers.
Okay.
Oh, great.
And then they made Mercury Team, which is the same basic thing. They took all the Venom spawn and made them all good and actually less interesting than they were before.
The Venom spawn, besides Carnage and I think Toxin, there were more. I only remember seeing...
Toxin is Carnage's spawn. So, if I remember correctly,
is an anti-hero, right?
Yeah, Toxin is supposed to be the most powerful symbiote ever, and Carnage fucking hates him. His first host, I can't remember his name, was a cop, and he had to... They actually did the exact same thing they're doing with Agent Venom, but way more interesting. He had to fight Toxin's animalistic killer urges, and sometimes that didn't work, sometimes it did. But eventually, his first host died, and now Eddie Brock is the current Toxin, basically doing the exact same thing.
Okay.
You know, I always felt like Kane and Toxin could go together since... I'm sure Kane would not worry about killing people.
Yeah, Kane is willing to kill. But
yeah,
the thing
so I
with
think him and
Toxin-
Toxin could go together pretty well.
The thing with Toxin is that Toxin just wants to kill everybody, no matter what. Kanan has no problem killing criminals, but won't kill innocents.
So he's early. So he's like Batman in the 30s then.
Or the Punisher.
Yeah.
Except not
Spider-Man.
terrible.
The
Anyway,
Punisher,
aside
but not terrible.
yeah, aside from Carnage, Venom had, I think, 5 other Spawn that we know about. I think I remember most of their names. Was Scream, Lasher, Phage, Agony, and then there's one more that I just can't remember the name of.
Didn't they suck?
Then not really sucked. They just were really one-dimensional and boring. Like they could have been really cool, but nothing really ever came of them. They eventually did become something when they gave them the Agent Venom treatment too, and they created Mercury Team,
That's cool.
which
Yeah. Yes, because it went so well the first 2 times.
well, a lot of people really like Agent Venom. I don't, but that's because in my mind Venom is a villain.
Not an anti-hero.
Well, Agent Venom isn't even an anti-hero. He's
Well,
a
Venom
straight
isn't
up
really a
hero.
villain by definition. He just wants to kill Spider-Man, and that's it.
Venom is he was a villain for a while, and then they made him an anti-hero, and it was really stupid. Really.
I'd still
And
want
then-
this.
Wait,
And
why
then-
would he ever be an anti-hero? He's an alien spacesuit of some sort that corrupts.
Because
Alien
the writers-
creature.
Because the writers for Spider-Man in the 90s were idiots for the most part.
Yeah.
Once they got out of the Clone Saga, that kind of stopped happening, but during that entire thing, pretty much only stupidity happened.
Yeah. Because no one knew who. No, because they just didn't know how Spider-Man worked. That's how I felt. Jesus Christ, how does one fail that much?
I don't know. The 90s were not a good time for Spider-Man, nor for Venom, really, because that was the same time they decided that Venom was a creature that constantly wanted to eat brains and drooled
Brains.
ecto cooler.
What the hell?
And then they continued the trend actually pretty recently of turning symbiotes into good guys when they briefly made Carnage a good guy.
How does that work?
I don't think Carnage is supposed to be a good guy.
No.
Axis happened, which I don't know a lot about Axis, but what I do know is that there was a machine that would change people's personalities, so like heroes became villains, villains became heroes, and Carnage was one of the villains that became a hero. It's stupid.
How? I can't see that working.
Although Axis gave birth to Superior Iron Man, so at least something good came out of it. And Superior Iron Man, from what I can tell, if you've ever wanted an Iron Man that is basically Tony Stark from the MCU, you read Superior Iron Man.
Oh, really?
That's from what I can tell, yeah. The Iron Man suit he's got in Superior Iron Man is made of liquid metal, which is pretty cool.
What do you think of Miles Morales? Because I have to read about him.
Miles Morales, I still prefer, in my mind, Peter Parker is still Spider-Man, but Miles Morales is a really good Spider-Man for the Ultimate Universe.
He's a good successor to the Ultimate Peter Parker.
Yeah, although the thing with Miles, his uncle is the Prowler,
That is awesome.
and the Prowler broke into Oscorp, where after stealing science shit,
He stole science itself.
yeah, he stole some science.
Yeah.
A spider had, I guess, hitched a ride on, I think, like his boot or in his bag or something. And right before that, Norman Osborn had learned that Spider-Man was created essentially by him. The experiments they were doing on spiders created Spider-Man. The same thing that happened in the Amazing Spider-Man movie, actually. And so Norman Osborn did all this crazy shit trying to recreate the experiment to give himself the powers of Spider-Man, and that eventually turned him into the Green Goblin. But little did Norman know, he succeeded, and the spider that was able to mostly replicate Spider-Man's powers was the one that hitched a ride with the Prowler. Miles went over to his uncle's house like the next day or something, and then while he was sitting on the couch, the spider bites him. And despite the fact that the Prowler, I can't remember his actual name, found Miles.
Hobby Brown.
No,
His name is Hobby Brown.
He's Hobie Brown in 616, but he's got a different name in Ultimate.
Oh, okay.
Despite the fact that he found Miles on the floor, literally foaming at the mouth, he didn't think to take him to the fucking hospital. But Miles, as he was walking home, started realizing weird abilities. Like, he could run really fast, he could jump high, he could climb.
Spider-Man found his powers.
Kinda. He could climb walls, and he's got two powers that 616 Spider-Man doesn't have. He can camouflage himself, which admittedly he doesn't use all that often, and he has a Venom Blast, which is a good way to end a fight really quickly without causing a lot of collateral damage. Again, though, he doesn't use it incredibly often.
Okay.
But if you want, like, a different take on Miles Morales, a more modern take, if you will, or a more modern take on Spider-Man, you read Miles Morales. He's pretty interesting.
Okay, that was good.
Yeah, I just hated how when Marvel technically got Spider-Man back, people wanted Miles, to which I replied with, you do realize that Miles is heavily dependent on Peter Parker's death?
Yeah.
Or at least
like, I mean,
his
I'd
end of
like
Spider-Man.
I'd like to see Miles get some exposure, even just like a TV series or something, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Well, I'd let Peter Parker get his time, and then they could do something like the... I mean, I don't like to see Spider-Man have a tragic end, but if he has to for the MCU, they could just do Miles that way, and it could be like the Ultimate Spider-Man or the stuff like that.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
All the Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Just random Spider-Man everywhere.
Actually, there's probably a German version called Uber Spider-Man.
There are a bunch of There's a cyborg Spider-Man they showed off in Spider-Verse. There's an assassin Spider-Man.
Wow.
That was trained by Wolverine, mind you.
Yeah. There were a bunch of weird Spider-Man in Spider-Verse. There's a Peter Parker there was a Peter Parker who stopped being Spider-Man at some point, became a cop, and then when his daughter or his wife or somebody was kidnapped, he decided to become Spider-Man again, but he's like 40 now, and he doesn't have the suit. So he buys a Spider-Man suit from a costume shop and wears that. And because he's overweight, his belly is kind of like bulging out, and he eats hamburgers.
It's kind of a weird way to go.
Yeah. Spider-Verse was basically, I think, a way for writers to be like, all right, what kind of crazy shit can we come up with for Spider-Man?
The spider buggy, or the sentient Spider-Mobile.
Yeah, there's the Hostess Twinkie Cakes ad Spider-Man has his own universe wherein he will win in every battle so long as he uses the deliciousness of Hostess Twinkie Cakes.
What the hell?
Advertisement wet drink.
That's so random, man.
Look, in like the 70s and I think the 80s, Hostess had ads in Marvel Comics, and they're some of the most insane shit you'll ever see. Those ads...
It's no different from Popeye with spinach.
Those ads gave us Hulk versus the Fumi Goonies. And the Fumi Goonies are just regular robbers. I don't know why they're called the Fumi Goonies.
Well,
But
Stupid name.
they're fucking crazy.
Might have something to do with them being stupid themselves, but nah.
Well, maybe. Although I do want to point out, in that story, Bruce Banner transforms into the Hulk in the bank in front of like 30 people.
wow.
And then, who else died? I know, Spider-Man Reigns, Spider-Man died, which was essentially the Dark Knight Returns with Spider-Man.
Yeah, most of the...
It was
a lot
pretty
of
decent.
died.
It was a pretty decent read for what it was.
I'm just going to point out to viewers this was never a topic, it just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just.
I completely forgot this was a podcast.
I'm just
I feel like we
kinda-
should.
No,
I
I'm
feel like
kinda
we
just
should put
listening
the.
to.
I feel like we should put the Spider-Man discussion on hold until we finish the podcast and continue it afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of just listening to you.
Literally
to
nothing
you
to
guys.
talk about.
I'm just listening to you guys talk.
Well, we're 2 hours in this thing, and probably about an hour of that has been Spider-Man.
Oh well, this has been interesting. So, I was worried that the topics we'd have wouldn't hold us over. So,
They didn't. We started talking about Spider-Man.
how did
Well, I
this
think
even
out of
happen?
the topics we set up, I think we've only got one more, so we might as well talk about that one real quick and then end
Okay.
it, and then we can start talking about Spider-Man again.
Or we just
Yeah.
keep talking about Spider-Man.
So I guess I have to talk again.
Damn.
Someone food.
No. So Aonuma recently went out saying that Zelda is most likely not going to be released in 2015, and
I think the only thing they didn't do was just say we're delaying into 2016.
yeah, but I think it's likely that's it's gonna happen because the possibility of the game releasing this year is almost like zero. So
Yeah,
Well,
we
here's the thing,
were already
though.
pretty.
Zelda games tend to get delayed a lot, so I'm not surprised that this got delayed as well.
it was
Yeah.
for me. It's kind of,
Even when it was just announced, when they were just like it's going to be out in 2015, I was still kind of iffy because they didn't even give us like a time frame. They're just like sometime in 2015.
I
And then
always
they gave us a bit of a window with like it's at least coming after Star Fox, but even then I was like I think it's probably going to be sometime in 2016.
yeah. I always thought it was going to be like a holiday season. I still think it's going to be like holiday 2016 though. To be honest, like I feel it's going to be a year delay.
I feel like it's either going to be summer 2016 or holiday 2015
Yeah.
or 2016.
Yeah. So, I feel that a delay was inevitable, to be honest, because the game looks massive, and the way Aonuma talked about the game sounded like the final version won't be anything like we saw at the Game Awards. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if it was still coming out in 2015, I'm pretty sure what they were showing at the Game Awards was still a pretty early version.
yeah.
It's not incredibly uncommon for companies to intentionally show an earlier build of a game than what they've actually got done.
That's kind of unusual for Nintendo though, because they usually don't show off a game until it's like really far in its development.
That's probably.
I feel like they
might actually. This is. I'm just talking now, but Nintendo not releasing games footage of games that they haven't got done or anything like that. That might have something to do with a theory of mine that they don't. They have a lot of games that they make all the time that are probably really good but get scrapped because they don't think it's too standard or.
Oh yeah, because
We you had hundreds of first-person shooters like Call of Duty and said, no, it's not Nintendo, just scrap it. You've wasted your time.
well, that's funny you mentioned that because there have been like 4 or 5 Kirby games that have been scrapped because they weren't up to Nintendo standards.
Yeah, although most of the canceled Kirby games, some of their elements were incorporated in later ones.
Yeah.
So
Like the Kirby game on the GameCube was pretty much turned into Return to Dreamland.
yeah,
I still want to see like a 3D Kirby game because they tried that but it got scrapped. So I want to see them try that again.
yeah. I imagine they'll try to do it at some point again,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it'll be anytime soon.
No, I feel they're like playing it kind of safe, but also they like to experiment a lot
I still think that Nintendo needs to make a first-person shooter just so they can stay competitive. And to be fair, if Nintendo first-person shooter, if we've got Splatoon as third-person shooter, which is a very dry genre for the moment, there has not been anything for a long time that isn't re-released. If they can actually bring life back into first-person shooters and hopefully kill Call of Duty to the point where Call of Duty would have to be a new thing, it would never happen, but maybe.
Well,
you know what I'm saying.
Well, FPS games are really oversaturated now, so
And I feel like that's the reason Nintendo is doing a third-person shooter rather than a first-person, because first-person shooters are fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Third-person shooters were kind of a thing for a short amount of time, but never became what first-person shooters became.
Yeah.
And
Third-person shooters never got their due.
Mm.
I mean, we had classics like Metal Arms Glitching System, some other games that I Glitching System's my personal favorite that I knew exactly off the beat to comment on.
Mm. Well,
yeah, everyone probably has their third-person shooter that they if they're into that sort of thing. Well, everyone's played maybe one.
I just kind of miss the creativity that we had in like the PS2 GameCube era. So we keep seeing like a lot of the same stuff. I feel like a bunch of FPS games and all this stuff, and it feels very samey to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the main market outside of Nintendo, everything is more of the same.
Yeah, that's
of everything.
That's really
occasionally you get a game that's like, oh, that's actually pretty cool, and they did something different. But for the most part, it's like we're gonna do the same thing, but worse than everybody else has done it.
Yeah, that's my main problem with gaming nowadays. It's just that companies don't try to do different things nearly as much as back then, and I feel that's what made gaming so much fun in those generations, because you rarely knew what you were getting into when you bought a game, and I felt a lot of fun has been sucked out of that.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
And it's just, that's the main reason I stick with Nintendo, because they still make creative games. They don't shy away from being creative, which is, again, why I stick with them.
Yeah. Even if Nintendo started doing like the same thing over and over again, they'd still make it good and fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they use the same IPs quite often, at least they try to be creative with them. Unlike like Call of Duty is pretty much the same game every year, or like FIFA or whatever the hell you wanna.
FIFA is okay. Call of Duty at least generally has new environments. FIFA is literally exactly the fucking same every single goddamn time it releases.
Yeah. But at least with Nintendo, even though they're using the same IPs, at least they try something different with every game. Like, Mario 64 is significantly different to Sunshine and all that stuff.
Yeah, there was I can't remember who tweeted it, but I remember seeing on Twitter, somebody was like, there's never been a point when Nintendo wasn't making something good. Like, even when they would release a bad game, usually they would also release a good game alongside of it. Nintendo was always making something good.
Yeah, and this kind of sucks because, well, not Nintendo, but because I've been sticking with Sony as well as Nintendo for like
a little
pretty much forever now, and it just sucks to see the PS4 like not have that many good games for it.
I stuck with for last generation. I stuck with Nintendo and Microsoft. I'm going with Sony this generation, but I'm still mainly over at Nintendo because these guys have games and they're interesting. Even the ones that aren't out yet, I'm like, that looks cool.
Yeah, because like the other consoles have the raw power and all that, but that means jack all to me if the games aren't interesting.
Yeah, I remember seeing it was like some throwaway video. I was just on a binge where I made fun of random videos. There was some guy that was like, oh, the PS4 has a whole bunch of power. And I just thought to myself, well, yeah, but that means jack shit if there's no games to use that power.
Exactly.
Actually, I think I know why the companies are doing this. they've looked at PC gaming and how it's stayed alive for, what, 40 years now?
30, 40 years, yeah.
Yeah. So they've looked at that saying, why is that so successful? And why is everyone all of a sudden saying PC Master Race these days?
That saying is retarded, I'm sorry.
I know.
Well, more often than not, I find that it's a joke, but there are a handful of people that legitimately use that phrase.
They're called zealots.
Yeah, when people say it as a joke, I don't care, but there have been times when people say it seriously, and I'm just like, really now?
Yeah, but the reason that all this stuff has been going on is because of it. That's why we got a bunch of specs that no one cared about, and then every reviewer knew nothing but the specs, barely any game, so it's like, let's talk about the specs.
Whatever that means.
Back in my day, spec meant idiot. No, seriously.
Back in my day, we gave a damn about games, not power.
Yeah, just like, wake me up when people start talking about video games again, seriously.
That's pretty much what I say whenever some big controversy happens. When somebody's like, oh, fucking somebody unintentionally discriminated against a woman or whatever, I'm like, I don't care. I just want to talk about video games.
Yeah, didn't some really big debate start happening about that.
I think so. I know there was some big debate about like gender in video games between Tim Schafer and JonTron.
What the hell?
And people made this big deal about it, and I'm like, I'm here to talk about video games.
Exactly.
I didn't.
People don't games most consoles anymore because it seems like all anyone does is watch YouTube.
Yeah,
most people I saw on Twitter that talked about video games tweeted at one point or another, or even mentioned it in a video about Gamergate. And meanwhile, I'm like, I really am not even paying attention to it.
I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. I play games to have a good time, not to talk about like this kind of thing.
Yeah, like I noticed that Gamergate was going on, but I didn't get actively involved in it, especially considering that no matter what side you side with, somebody's gonna hack you and reveal all your shit, so...
I just didn't bother taking part in that at all.
Yeah, like, I acknowledged it multiple times in, like, Skype groups, but I have never said I've never said what side I stand on, I've never said what I think of it in general, and I'm never going to.
Oh dear, don't remind me, because Chase and Joey know the Seaspring guest chat.
Yeah, it's mental.
Yeah, during that whole debacle, there was a huge debate about that, and things just went out of hand, so I just didn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
I tend not to talk in Seaspring for two reasons. One, they talk too fast and I half the time don't have to know what they're going on about. Two,
you have to
usually doing something else.
And three, you have to basically...
I mainly don't talk in the chat because, as you've probably noticed in this, I'm more talkative when I can actually, like, talk.
Yeah, same.
I'm the same.
Yeah, same. But, and three, to add to your list, Jerry, you have to sell your soul. Just seriously.
Yeah, no. When I get a game capture device and start uploading for Seaspring, then I will start talking in the chat. And even still, that's some...
Yeah, because, off topic, but Jesse said to me that you weren't participating in the chat that much, but you can't really do a lot because you aren't really recording anything at the moment, so... And you
guys want me to do some PC game that I've got. So if you wanted me to do Red Faction Let's Play, I'd see if I can fraps that.
But the thing is, you haven't even been in any commentaries lately, so it's kind of hard for you to talk in the chat if you have if nothing's going on your side. But yeah.
And that's what we have to say about the Zelda delay.
Well, I think I honestly like the fact that they're having a delay to make the game better, because I'd rather have a game that's delayed that turns out great, rather than a game that gets rushed out.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring up what
But
a
then
big
we also
difference.
have-
I'm gonna bring up what a big difference a delay can make. Resident Evil 4 was delayed. It was gonna release, I think, a couple of months before it actually did. It was supposed to be in like November of 2002, whenever the fuck Resident Evil 4 came out.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was supposed to be released in like November, but they delayed it by 3 or 4 months, and it came out early the next year. Had they gone ahead and released it when it was originally planned, Resident Evil 4 would not be considered the masterpiece it is today, because you compare like the Resident Evil 4 demo disc, which that was handed out for pre-orders of the game, that was like the build that was going to be released, and you compare that to what we actually got. Resident Evil 4 was almost pretty bad, actually.
Well,
a delay can make a huge difference.
And, well, if something's been delayed and it's been delayed for too long, we get Duke Nukem Forever. Where in 2001 we got this amazing trailer. It's like, God, I want this game.
Well, the thing with Duke Nukem Forever is that didn't it keep like switching development? Like
it was switching developers, and because it was delayed so many times, it switched consoles a few times.
It was originally going to be on the PS2.
Originally, it was going to be on the Nintendo 64.
dang.
It was announced in like I think the mid '90s.
Someone actually pre-ordered it at an E3, and hundreds of people, for some reason, gave him his $10 back. So he's actually got profit out of a pre-order.
Wow.
Yeah, it was going to be revealed at E3 in like 2000. It was revealed at E3 2005. They were so ready to release it, they even opened pre-orders. Got delayed again, didn't happen. Then only one guy pre-ordered it, but
Yeah.
the game was announced, I think, in 1996 for the Nintendo 64. Then it was delayed, and then delayed again and again and again, and it switched developers because of all the delays. It switched consoles. Eventually, it finally came out, and before it was finally released, it was delayed again. Like they had announced it that it was going to come out for the Xbox 360. And they gave it the whatever specific release date it had. And then they delayed it again to when it actually came out. So it could have actually been worse than what we got.
What kind of game is Duke Nukem Forever anyway?
First-person shooter.
Oh.
And it's not a very good one.
No.
Should've
Duke
known.
Nukem is a product of the 90s, and that's where he belongs.
If you want to play a good Duke Nukem game, play Duke Nukem 3D.
Play any of them from the 90s, really. And the side-scrolling ones are pretty good, too. Basically any of them except Forever and whatever one was on fucking Game.com. Or Gamecom or whatever. Anyway, delays.
Yeah, didn't Ocarina of Time like get delayed a bunch?
Yep, it was mainly because it was originally announced for the N64 DD, and that thing flopped.
Yeah.
So they're like, well,
because like a lot of people consider that to be like the best Zelda game or best game of all time. I personally don't agree with that, but still.
Link to the Past forever, yo. Anyway, there were... I remember Velcro, in one of the other chats, and even on Twitter, he pointed out how there were a lot of people talking about the delay. They're like, calm down about the Zelda delay, and like nobody was freaking out about it. People were just like, oh, okay.
Well, I was kind of sad inside, but in the long run, I was actually kind of happy because if it means a better game, then by all means delay it.
Yeah.
That's the general page I'm on. If it helps the game, then do it.
Yeah, because that's exactly what
like,
Sonic 06 needed.
I felt like I was the only person when Rayman Legends was delayed. I felt like I was the only person that was like, no, you know what? I like this.
Well, the thing with that is that if it was like said before, like a couple weeks before release, I wouldn't care. But it's just the fact that they decided to do multi-platform like a couple weeks before release that kind of annoys people.
It didn't bother me because I mean, like, more people get to play the game.
Yeah, well, I don't mind that, but it's just the fact that they decided that like, at the last second kind of bothers me.
Yeah. Another delay that happened pretty recently that not a lot of people freaked out about, but people in the comments of a video kind of freaked out about a little bit. They got kind of angry.
Yeah.
Arkham Knight was delayed by 3 more weeks, probably just so they could talk about it at E3.
What?
And there were a lot of people in the comments of the gameplay trailer, because we finally got a gameplay trailer for it,
Yeah,
that
I
were
saw
like,
that.
it got delayed again, oh my god.
People are mad about a 3-week delay. Are you serious?
Yeah, because it was just delayed again, but like, it's still coming out in June. It's still only like 3 months.
Well, delays are kind of the thing to bitch about whenever they happen, so...
Well,
it's like,
well, you said,
like,
Chase,
on the internet.
Chase, you said people were going crazy in the comments, but I was just like, that's pretty much what happens in every YouTube video.
Yeah, but it was still a great fucking gameplay video.
Yeah.
Like, I think Arkham Knight is probably going to be better than Arkham City. That's saying a lot, because Arkham City is amazing.
So apparently the gameplay footage would have ended when Batman went into the Batmobile, but they extended it because
they showed off the Batmobile, and I was really cautious as to how that was going to work because just based on Arkham City and Arkham Origins, there's a lot of shit in the roads that would keep you from using the Batmobile, and so I thought they were going to end up being like that. But no, it actually looks like Gotham, so driving around in the Batmobile looks like it's going to be pretty fun.
I think the game needed something like that because the game looks massive. So
it is, yeah. I imagine there will probably be some recycled areas from like Arkham City, but that's probably only because Arkham City was a part of Gotham to begin with. So, or hell, maybe they'll just block off that area of Arkham City. I don't know. It looks good. I don't really mind the delay because A, it's only 3 weeks, and 2, it's still coming out in June.
yeah.
Also, I said A and 2.
I really can't care if it's only 3 weeks.
Yeah, like, if it was 2 or 3 months, I could understand getting a little pissed about it. Like, we've waited, it's been delayed a couple of times before, so yeah, but it's only 3 weeks. It's still coming out in June.
Yeah.
Or July. Shit.
We're close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think that's all our topics. Zelda delay was not that big of a deal, and I'm actually kind of happy that most people weren't going insane over it like they did the Arkham Knight delay, even though it was significantly shorter.
Yeah, which is kind of weird, but internet for you. But do you want to go back to rambling about Spider-Man or whatever?
Well, we should probably
Yeah.
end the podcast, and then we'll do that.
Yeah. Because we've been doing this for over 2 hours now, so...
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll end the podcast, and then we'll ramble about Spider-Man.
Yeah, more like you and I will. They'll just sit back and listen.
Well, when we get into stuff that involves either the movies or the games, they'll probably say something.
Yeah. Well,
Actually, I can say more about the cartoons, but just because I think I watched the Amazing Spider-Man cartoon when I was really young, but I really remember nothing. My memory is the strangest anomaly that has ever existed.
well,
Look, my memory is fucking nuts. I can barely
Yeah.
remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but
No.
I can remember the names of those flags that stick out of Hershey's Kisses.
Well, that's funny because I sometimes can't remember what I did like yesterday morning, but I can remember something I did in like 5 years ago.
Yeah, that tends to happen.
No joke. I could not tell you what I had for lunch yesterday, but I can tell you the name of those flags on the Hershey's Kisses that I only ever saw once, like 3 years ago. They're called Niggly Wigglies, by the way. No, really. I'm not even joking.
Yeah. Whoa, does there...
If I were to invent a metal, I would call it Joanite.
You wanna say our goodbyes then?
Yep.
Thank you for watching the podcast.
Oh
Get
jeez.
iFox Jaffa Cakes and Darren Dubert and get that all delivered to you using Alicorn shipping.
And give the John Delancey Totes Jaffa Cakes.
And I can add.
Order that T-shirt and then send it to him in his mail.
You will do it. You will do it.
You'll obey us. All maybe 50 of you, I think, if there's even that many people who watch this. I'm hoping there's that many.
And then we just get bombarded by people saying like, "Oh, you're those guys for the podcast."
Like, yep.
Oh.
Oh, John Delancey actually wore the T-shirt. Also, send a message saying wear this at RonyCon 2017 if you can get that. With the shirt.
Anyways, though.
Then call out for the Ramble Express podcast. They should be there.
Anyways, though, do you guys want to plug anything?
I'm gonna add something on, probably only for this one. I don't know if I'll do it in the next one.
God.
First off, go watch my stuff. I talk about Sonic comics, sometimes video games, and I'm about to upload something spider related.
Spider-Man.
And second, go subscribe to Marvel Unlimited. It's $10 a month, and there's so many fucking digital comics you can read. It's insane. And I swear I wasn't paid by Marvel. I only just got my subscription like yesterday, and I'm just pointing out because it's awesome.
Do you want to plug anything, Joey?
I plugged everything.
Well,
please
your own channel.
Please watch my channel if you can find it. It's Key Gaming. Because I'm in the middle of a holiday at the time of recording and upload, you know what? I'm gonna make it my mission to finish my current Let's Play. If that's the last thing I do, I'm gonna finish it within the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Christian?
Maybe 3 left.
I don't really have anything to plug because, again, I don't normally use my channel too much. Well, we're not right now because school is in session. I'll probably use it more during the summer, and if I can get my old computer fixed. But at the moment, you know, I do have some videos, just not a lot.
Okay, but as for me, as you all know, Banjo-Kazooie is going up, and Sonic Unleashed HD is happening at the moment, so yeah.
I feel so bad for you.
Well, I like Unleashed, so in terms of other things, the mini LP weekend series is going to start happening next week, and well, go watch Seaspring. That's pretty much all I have to say. So
Tilts Jaffa Cakes, Darren Dubert.
we've said this already.
I don't care. They need to be reminded. We should be sponsored.
Okay, well, I think we're done now, and I'm done with making Tails dizzy. So goodbye.
Bye.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Bye.